Alright, today we're going to look at a team that involves multiple units that are rarely seen in customs. So we're going to try and cram a bunch of them into one build, which sounds like it would be a recipe for disaster, but I think you can make some fairly decent synergies, even when you're taking lesser played units. I don't know if I'm going to put these units in the thumbnail or not. I guess we'll just talk about them as and when they appear. The first one is going to be a tier 3, so maybe that's why I'm taking Spider here, that I was potentially hoping for level 2 Spider, so I could shortcut to having the level 2 tier 3. Kind of an odd play here where I sell the Farmer Mouse and then buy the Hedgehog. I'm not sure what exactly that was about. Maybe I thought if I sold it I was going to be able to buy both Hedgehogs? I don't know. But either way, we end up losing to this 3 squad. Possibly as a result of that mistake. Take the level up. Don't like to take level ups on turn 4, obviously. And I don't like to waste the fish stats either, but clearly I was prioritizing trying to get the specific tier 3 because I didn't really want to go too far into the game without having it already on the squad. That often tends to be the case when you're going for specific builds where there really is only one unit that you can use for it, and here we go, we get the monkey-faced bat. So this pet is almost non-existent in customs. I don't think it's too bad, but there aren't too many teams that you can play with it, I guess. It does have a very funny looking ability, where it's buffing units behind it, but it can also now buff itself, which I think we did see in that previous turn. Now here I'm going to take the bonobo because I want to have 2 of these bats to try and maximize the effect as much as possible. That does mean that I don't get to sell the tamarin onto another bat. But honestly, when you're going for builds where you need 2 of the same pet and you don't want to use parrot or tiger or whatever, bonobo is just an incredible shortcut. So level up here. I am looking for a tier 5. So we didn't get it there. I guess that's probably what I'm going to end up using the tamarin for. And while Cake has not been patched yet, we can still use it for a 3 gold automatic activation on Gelada. Unfortunately, we face a tar team and we don't get the chance to activate the bats, even though it is possible to get the bat activation from Chile. You just don't see it too often. Yeah, I'll feed up the bat behind, and the Gelada just eats the cake for a second time, even though it's not going to make any difference. This definitely looks like a free-to-play squad. I've seen quite a few horse plus dog teams recently. That's one of those teams that you just almost never used to see, but making a comeback for some reason. So here we go, we get the swordfish, sell the tamarin onto it. Hopefully we get a cake here, but I don't think so. Yeah, we don't. So just take the pie. Okay, put it on the bat at the front. I suppose even if I had a cake there, it wouldn't have allowed the both geladas to activate in one turn. And it's obviously much better if you can just activate them both in the same turn, so you don't have to spend 12 gold on foods, or 6 gold if you manage to get 2 cakes. So we go for level 2 gelada. I do want a tier 6 as well, we don't get it. So I think here we can do some shenanigans with the flounder. So if we put flounder in, the level 2 gelada will feed it twice. For some reason I almost put the gelada at the back there. But we're going to take the level up on one of the bats and then also go for level 2 swordfish. And obviously I didn't explain it straight away, but the swordfish is going to hit itself at the start of battle, so that will allow the bats to guarantee get a trigger every turn. Obviously the normal way to use the bat is to play the jump pets behind it, but I've done that already, so I'll link in the description the previous monkey-faced bat videos, because I think it is just a very fun unit where it has such an atypical effect. It can result in battles that you just can't tell immediately who's going to win. So here we go. We get the lamprey. And Lamprey is going to allow us to activate the bats a second time after the swordfish faints. It's not going to faint itself until it's level 2 because it has higher HP at the moment. And then we just need one more unit to complete the squad. This actually looks like the same person, the same free-to-play person, but this time their summon squad has the shark in it. And there you go, you can see the Lamprey hits the swordfish after the front unit faints, and then we get the bat activation. But of course it only has two triggers now. It previously was 3 triggers, but it gave fewer stats. Now it's 2 triggers, but it gives a bit more. And there we go, we get the blobfish. So now we're going to try and do a reset team using these rarely seen bats. Yeah, now we can get 2 activations from the Lamprey, and the bat will continue buffing a couple more times. You could also put mushroom on the blobfish, I guess. Although I'm not sure how much that's going to help, because I don't think it's going to get both bats to level up twice. But it does give an extra feint, which means that the Lamprey does get to attack once more while both bats are still alive. Here we go. Okay, I guess the one at the front didn't get its triggers reset, but we're still going to win anyway. Swordfish by itself can be very devastating, you know, just instantly removing the biggest unit on their team. Oftentimes it can let you get away with significantly weaker builds just by removing, you know, the biggest threat on the opposing side. Now here we got mushroom from the, I think it was radish on the Lamprey, but we do get to see the activation from the bat. Yeah, it uses up all the triggers on the second go around. By this time I'm just going to go for mushroom straight away. We don't want to rely on the RNG of the radish for the rest of the run. And look at this, we get level 3 swordfish, so that is pretty tasty. And yeah, I think you're going to see here that the level 2 swordfish doesn't have enough attack to instantly kill this leech. Actually, they're cooking up a tamarin as well. I wonder what that's going to be sold onto. But yeah, this is such a satisfying round where you get to see all of these activations. And actually we win because of the mushroom. Super satisfying. It's just not going to be all that common that you get rounds like that, I think. Maybe there's a couple more on the way here. So here's another team that is pretty heavy scaling. Unfortunately, the swordfish goes after the Highland Cow, has already dished out 42 trumpets. Highland Cow actually a unit that looks like it's going to get buffed on the recent test server. But yeah, 50-50 Doggo is going to get eliminated because the bat managed to scale up with all its own activations. So yeah, just trying to keep the Lamprey alive and a little bit more attack. You know, in the olden days, you really just did not have to keep increasing the attack on swordfish, but with Behemoth and technically Giant Tortoise as well existing, it's always better to just make sure that your swordfish is doing the maximum damage possible. So luckily here we get Eagle again. I think this emu team got messed up by the swordfish snipe, which of course is another nice side effect of its ability. We don't need level 2 Lamprey, it's just not going to help us. Yeah, I suppose it could use all the triggers at the same time on the bats, but I think it's better just to have them activate separately. It's just more cinematic. But then here on turn 18, it's a buy-sell team, and as fancy as this squad is, it's just not going to be able to deal with a whole bunch of 50-50s. And yeah, we end up losing. But I was still pretty proud of that team, and it didn't take too much effort to get a 9-win run. So if you fancy trying it yourself, I don't think you should be too discouraged from doing so.